All right, good evening, everyone. I don't even know where I am, what day it is, what year it is. Happy New Year, everyone who's joining our meeting tonight. I'm Jen Tran. I'm interim president of UFCA. Yeah, I think everyone's pretty much on mute. Just wanted to remind everybody that this meeting is going to be recorded. We will post the meeting recording online on our website, as well as distribute it with meeting minutes after the meeting. Before we kick off the meeting officially, maybe I noticed a couple new faces on here, so I'd love if all the officers could go around and introduce themselves, and then I'll talk briefly about the agenda before we go into the meeting.
Sure. I'll go first. I'm Chris Morton. I'm the treasurer of the organization. Nice to see everybody.
I'm Amanda Garland. I'm the secretary. Good to see you all.
And Vivek, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi. Hey, everyone. Vivek Tomer. I'm the zoning chair for the organization.
Thanks, everyone. So tonight for our agenda, we will we have two community spotlights tonight. One is Wallace and Nilan Physical Therapy on Fairmount Avenue. And then right next door to that is also Bar Hygge. So we'll be hearing from those two local businesses. Bar Hygge is going to be raffling off gift cards and a 4-pack of their homemade beer. So, stay tuned for that. Super exciting. Tonight we're also hosting our UFCA elections for president and treasurer positions. And then we'll hear from our different various committees and have general discussion at the end of the meeting. Does anyone have any questions about anything before we jump in? See, Phoebe's really interested in our meeting tonight. All right, and with that, I'll turn it over to Chris to introduce our first community spotlight.
Sure, thanks, Jen. I think we briefly met Bill at the beginning, but he's one of the owners of Wallace and Nilan, I think it's called, at 1714 Fairmount. So they provide exceptional care for their patients in the community with outstanding physical therapy services with a goal to give back to the community. So I'll hand it over to Bill, and if anybody has any questions along the way, feel free to put it in the chat or speak up at the end. So Bill, I hand it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate being a part of this. I've definitely heard of you guys having these meetings. Could never make the Wednesday night in person, so I'm really psyched that I can finally make it virtually. But some familiar faces and familiar names out there that I'm looking at. Obviously, my neighbor Stu. He's always the greatest neighbor. So thanks, Stu, for being who you are. Yeah, so I mean, we're on Fairmount Avenue. Just to give you a little background of me, I'm a graduate of Newman University in 2009. So I've been doing this for a little while. I ran a same company, different clinic in Rittenhouse since 2013. So I've been with this company for a good amount of years now. And then we got the opportunity to come up to Fairmount Avenue and open up a new clinic in 2018. So still pretty new to the neighborhood, but was able to kind of get some really good contacts along the way. When I was in Rittenhouse, there was like a crew of people that I got connected with up in the Fairmount area. So that's kind of what really drew us to this neighborhood. I know Darlene was asking me, why'd you come to Fairmount? And I mean, technically, if we're gonna split hairs, it's not Fairmount, right? So it's technically Spring Garden. I learned that early on. So, but no, I mean, we're like right in the hub of 3 neighborhoods: Fairmount, Spring Garden, and Francisville. So we really kind of can throw a stone to each of them. But yeah, so that kind of what brought us up here. And then, we've been trying to build our business from there just by, being able to give back to the community. We like to be involved in anything from 5Ks to arts fests and all that good stuff that comes along, in a normal year, let's say. But yeah, in terms of the physical therapy part of things, and Darlene, let me know if I'm talking too much. in terms of the physical therapy thing, we treat everything and everybody. There's really nothing that we're unfamiliar with. We certainly have some specialties, some things that we like to do. I can just speak for myself. I also have a colleague, Matt. He's another full-time PT that works in the same office. But speaking for myself, I mean, ankle sprains, hip pain that hurts right here. You have no idea what it is. Could be a couple months worth of pain, or several years worth of pain. And we're really just trying to tackle all of that. So we do a lot of spine work, and just being able to think with our hands first, I think, is where Matt and I really cross paths in a lot of ways. It's we're doing a lot of manual work. You're getting some treatment while you're in there. It's not just the exercise and the heat and stim and all that good stuff that goes along with it. So, I really wanted to get on here, hear what you guys had for me. If there was questions, if there was anything that, you guys were wondering about, please throw me some questions, throw me some emails. I mean, I can share my email with Darlene and Jen, and be able to pass it along to you guys. But, that's kind of what I have for now. So open it up to you guys.
Do you take insurance?
Yeah, we're an insurance-based practice. So we'll always prefer to take an insurance plan before anything else. It's not that we can't offer a self-pay type program. There are outlying insurance plans that we don't cover. Some HMOs, for example, are what they call capitated to a specific site, and we're not that site. So at that point, we'll offer a self-paid program. But for the most part, all the Blues and the Aetnas and Medicare and some Medicaid, things like that, all the major stuff we take.
We
Does
work
a-
with, I'm sorry.
sorry. I was gonna ask Bill, are a lot of your stuff, is a lot of your stuff doctor referred, and do you require x-rays before you treat anybody?
Yes, some of it, Stu, is doctor referred, but much of it is not. We have something called direct access in Pennsylvania. So physical therapists with their doctorate level of education are allowed to treat a patient, we call it off the street, without a physician's prescription for up to 30 days. So that's whether or not you decide to go to a doctor or not. I mean, you still can do that. You can start that maybe 5 or 10 days in, you finally got your appointment set up, and then, you go to see, and we're both on this, physician and PT are on the same page from there, but you don't need one coming in. That's the good stuff that's been going on since maybe early 2000. So we've crossed that bridge in a lot of ways. So good questions too. And no x-rays either, no tests needed. We can always, contact your physician for you if you do have one that, you just haven't seen yet. There was another question coming from somewhere. I wasn't sure. Amanda, was that you?
I put what happens after the 30 days if you don't see a doctor?
Yeah, so we tried to not get it to that like 29th day, and now we're like, hustling to find who your doctor is. We're talking about that stuff like day one when we're evaluating you. Who's your physician? If you had to go see him or her, could you get an appointment quick? Do we need to call them earlier just to kind of let them know and give them a heads up you decided to start PT? So, just keeping the lines of communication open for the most part.
What percentage of your clients would you say come from the neighborhood versus your pre-existing reputation?
Oh, geez. It's really high percentage, Stu. I would say 90 to 95% are within like a mile or two of the clinic. I mean, we get like some Temple students, and I would say that's like the furthest that we see up into like North Philly and stuff. But most all is from the neighborhoods.
Bill, how have you guys adapted this year with the pandemic? What kind of changes have you had to make?
Yeah, depends on what month you're talking about. If it's like March and April, we were still trying to figure that out. But right now, we've been 10, 11 months in here, and we're all masked up. We wipe things down on a consistent basis, disinfecting every surface. It's to the point where it's you can't hand one thing off to another patient without it being wiped down. It's just not going to happen anymore. So very much taking those precautions as we need to in the clinic. Name it, face masks, hand sanitizer, 100% of the time. So pretty good stuff that we've been able to adapt to.
Can you still take the same number of clients?
We've gotten a little more creative. It was nice to get Matt on board, because prior to that, this past year, I had a part-time PT helping me. So there wasn't as many hours in each day. And now we have a lot more leeway, so that, Matt's there for like, at least a day and a half where I'm not, and vice versa, so like he's treating. If I'm treating with him in the same room, it's probably minimal amount of the week. So that's like kind of the good part, where we could manage that time. But yeah, I mean, I think, I guess even if him and I are in the same room at the same time and we're like pretty busy, there's really no more than like 7 or 8 people there, I would say. And that's very minimal amount of times during the week. So good. What else?
Any other questions, guys? No? Okay. Thanks, Bill. Really appreciate you coming and presenting. Happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I guess we'll move on to Darlene. Do you want to introduce Stu?
Yeah, we're really excited for Stu to join us. I know probably everybody on the call. Is there anyone who isn't familiar with, and this is always the challenging part, bar Hygge.
That's right. People are starting to pronounce it right.
Yeah. And then that whole that became like a thing. That I remember, didn't like a book come out or something like right after you guys opened?
It was the word. It was the word of the year in the New York Times the year after we opened.
Yeah, I remember that. That was funny. So anyway, tell us about what's going on with your business, what you guys have been up to, all that fun stuff.
Well, there's 4 partners. My wife, Julie, myself, Tom Baker, and Peggy's wherever. Julie and I, who live here on Bucknell Street, so just on the other side of the prison. We moved down here about 11 years ago, and we always wanted to open a place in our neighborhood. And we thought the Spring Garden, the Fairmountain proper was kind of saturated. We thought the Spring Garden area was sort of underserviced. So we came down here, and it was pretty risky in a lot of ways because people hadn't come down that way. And like the night before we opened, we were terrified because we're like, maybe this Hygge thing is really stupid and maybe nobody's going to want to do this. Because Hygge is hard to pronounce, and it means, before I go into that, I should thank you guys for having me here. And I can vouch for Wallace and Nilan. I haven't been, mostly because what's wrong with me can't be fixed by that kind of therapy. But I've heard really positive things from everybody who's gone there, and them, the veterinarians, all of our neighbors have been pretty cool. So anyway, long story short, Tom, Julie, Peggy, and I met commiserating about how horrible the restaurant business is, and we were 2 couples in it who were owned and operated these other places. I own a place, Julie and I own or have a percentage ownership in a place in West Conshohocken called Begataway Tavern. And Tom and Peggy own Earth Bread and Brewery in Mount Airy. So we had way too much wine one night, and somebody said, "Hey, why don't we do something together?" After complaining the entire night about the business, and then nobody said anything for about a year, and then somebody said one day, "Was anybody serious?" You know, next thing you know, we bought a brewery, and we didn't have a space to put it in. It was being delivered in June of 2015. We're like, holy crap, we got to find a space. And we went down, we wanted to be in Spring Garden, Fairmount area. And that space opened up. We actually were looking to buy the 18th and Fairmount property, you know, that bank building. But there was just no way. He wanted to rent it, and it just was going to cost a fortune. Anyway, it's been an amazing partnership, not only the four of us, but it's been an amazing partnership with the community. Not only were we well received from day one, but we're humbled and quite frankly blown away by the support that we've gotten from the Francisville, Fairmount, Spring Garden, North Broad, Brewery Town people throughout the pandemic, that because it's been a scary time. The brewery is a big part of what we do, and that's Tom. He's been brewing for 28 years. Brews weird styles that I think this community is starting to get used to. So like for the pandemic, it's been wild. The stuff we've been up to, just like Bill, he says, you know, depending on what month, we joke about we've written 10 business plans since this whole thing started. But one of the things we've been committed to, well, we've been energized by the community. I can't say that enough. People walk by and thank us for being open. They've thanked our employees who have been sacrificing a lot, and they're kind of unsung heroes. I mean, obviously they're not healthcare workers and stuff like that, but they do see 60, 70 people a week, and to work for us, they've committed to go home and work, and that's it, and go nowhere else for the past 11 months. So we've done a lot of pivoting. We started with the large format cocktails, and then we leveraged ourselves even further by buying a canning line. So I don't know if you guys have seen, we have canned beer now. Which was a scary thing because we didn't have any revenue right when this thing happened. We opened a line of credit and bought this canning line that was almost a prototype. It had just come out, and it could be run by one guy. So we bought the canning line. Scary purchase, but we thought the way we're going to have to be governed by this pandemic is we want to do what the right thing is. And we want to, if we're going to spend any money, we want to do it so that it can make us better on the back end. So we did that. We started doing family meals, and I know some of you guys took advantage of that. The city let us do extended outdoor seating. The guy across the street let us do the beer garden. But it's just really all about, I hesitate to say this, but people are asking me how the pandemic has gone. And the answer is, aside from the obvious horror stories, if money's not at the top of your value system and you just want to do business in your community and you've built that, it's been an interesting and, in a weird way, fun challenge as an entrepreneur to try to pivot and turn this thing and survive. So our goal was to do everything the right way, meaning don't compromise COVID protocol for a couple extra dollars ever. Don't compromise our employee safety for a couple extra dollars ever. And then figure out the reality, because like you guys, we figured it was going to be 2 weeks long. So we're like, wow, we got to shut down, you know, but so our goal is also to keep all of our salaried employees employed, and as many of the hourly folks, and we've done that to this point. this next few months is pretty scary, but we're doing a couple of things I kind of want to tell you about. Have you, first of all, to the community again. So we had this idea to do Thanksgiving meals and then offer the opportunity for the community to donate meals, and then we would go and deliver them. So it gave us revenue, and we got to deliver these meals to our community. And thanks to you folks and the folks in Spring Garden and Fairmountain, for Thanksgiving, 120 people ate that meal that was donated by the people. For Hanukkah, another 50. And then for Christmas, another meals for another 180 people were donated. And that saved us December, because December, if you remember, like, you know, I didn't know that we were going to make it. So I'm trying to be conscious, because my staff says when I get the floor that you're getting stewed right now. That's what's happening. But I'm really excited about, you know, that initiative. And then midway through December, we're like, what are we going to do in January? And we were like, well, I don't know. And then we were selling our beer at Christmas Village. So that was another thing we did to pivot. We have been doing it for the past 3 years, but with another partner. And so that was an extra stream of revenue. And then I was like, wait, those huts are going to go away. What if we rented those things? And I called the guy and I'm like, what are the dimensions of those things? He goes, 8 by 8. And I was like, and that's COVID safe, because we didn't build any kind of structure, because if it was built warm, it would be unsafe. And if it was built by the metrics that the city wanted, it would be freezing cold. So we're like, we're not going to do that. We're just going to, you know, try to suck it up. I know some of you have been out there in freezing cold weather, and we thank you for that. So we bought a bunch of heaters. Every pivot has cost money, but it's also helped us survive. Imagine a case of gloves. You know, we wear gloves everywhere. $130. You know what I mean? Sanitizer. You know, every single thing. The canning line, buying the cans. We bought a crowler machine. So now the huts, and then our next thing that we're going to do, which I don't know if it's going to work or not, but not too long ago, the city or the state allowed for people who have a restaurant liquor license. So we have a brewery license, and we also have an R license, which that's why we have a full bar. You know, that's why we can sell Captain Morgan, you know, whatever, something that's not local. So we got a wine extended permit. So we're literally, as we speak, rolling out an online, and then eventually it'll be in the restaurant wine store. It'll be like 15 or 20 SKUs to start that you can't get in the state store. My wife, Julie, has a couple of sommelier certifications. And she has a really great palate. So those wines are going to be super fun. We're going to try to have some around the $15 range, maybe going up to 50, Mac, maybe 60. But we know that we're going to sell mostly. So anyway, long story short, we're going to turn it into a wine store. So now you can buy a 4-pack of beer and a hand selected bottle of wine from Julie. So it's been cool in a way. It's been sad in a lot of ways. Like we have family members who have gotten sick, who Phoebe can't hug and stuff like that. I'm sure you all have stories like that. But I've never, and you know, it sounds like I'm pandering, but I really don't feel that way. I'm glad I got the opportunity to say that doing business in this community is the best decision we ever made, because we don't need or make a fortune. I don't understand. I give my hats off to the big restaurateurs, but I don't know how to run a place that doesn't have me there being annoying every day. And to do it in this community has been incredibly rewarding. And to be honest, I don't know if we're going to make it through the next 4 months, but if I were a betting man, I would say absolutely. I would bet on us because of you guys and because of everybody else. We got a new chef along the way who's absolutely amazing. Our old chef was amazing, but she has a child and she just, she had to go do that. So this guy I thought the old chef was phenomenal. This guy is next level. So anyway, I'm feeling self-conscious from my verbosity, which is a trademark of my personality. But
It doesn't help when everyone's on mute and you can't hear the little giggles and things throughout. So
yeah, I'm working on material here. I'm doing material. And, I'm trying. I get no feedback.
So how did Bar Hygge do compared to both of your other restaurants that you guys have?
Yeah, so Earthbread and Brewery did pretty well because they're flatbread pizza, so they were able to stick to takeout and do it safely. The other place has been a disaster. Not quite. So we were able to last minute, and the only bank that would do it, we were able to refinance, but the revenue. So Bar Hygge's revenue is off. At worst, it was 80%. At best, it's off 50%. That place has been, Begataway Tavern has been off consistently because it's an old school tavern. So even when they're allowed indoors, you can only have like 15 people at max. They had to rent a tent for $3,500 a month and put it in the parking lot. So the answer is, it's a struggle, but I think they're going to see the other side. And again, we've kept people employed there. I'm not there as much. When we moved down here and when we started Hygge, our commitment was to be an owner-operated place, and so I kind of am like a puppeteer there. But just to give an inside look, I mean, I totally get why some of the neighborhood restaurants have shut down for the winter. It's tiring, but I think I'm in the minority that I'm not mad at the government. I actually believe that they've been doing the right things all along. I think the messaging is wrong. I think they're more concerned about the guests with their restrictions, not so much that the restaurants are irresponsible. A lot of my colleagues think that we're being targeted. And like, I don't think, for example, we're allowed to open at 25% as of this weekend. We're not doing it. I mean, cases are on the rise. I just don't think it's the right thing to do. We're gonna try to ride it out for a while. The other thing that people don't talk that much about in the pandemic is our employees are really worried, and they're the ones that are guest facing all the time. And we have a responsibility to protect them as well. And so our mantra is that we want to provide some semblance of a normal experience at Hygge, but we don't ever want folks to forget that we're in the middle of a pandemic when they're at Hygge. Plus, we have to keep Vivek drinking some nice wines and cocktails.
So I guess I'll open it up to the group. Does anyone have any questions for Stu? Vivek? Sure, you want to know all about this wine list.
Yeah,
Can't wait for that wine.
That's pretty exciting. That's pretty exciting. There's some really nice kind of obscure wines. The idea is eventually, if you buy a bottle of wine from there, you'll start to trust Julie and be like, that's where I want to go. I mean, literally, we don't even have a plan yet for where we're going to put it in the place, which you can buy them online now, or start like maybe this Friday getting the wines online. But
where are you brewing it now? It's still in
the brewery. We still brew right there on site. Everything we do is still on site. The canning. So the canning line. You guys have probably been to larger breweries. The canning line, where they're giant, it looks like a train. Our canning line is 20 inches by 40 inches and can be operated by one guy. and he can crank out 15 cases per hour with that. So it's given us a whole nother dimension to take out sales and stuff. Plus the crowlers. Do you guys know what crowlers are? A 32-ounce can of beer that's filled on site. They're good, but they're inconsistent because they're not filled by a machine. And, you know, we've had feedback, they've gotten a couple of flat ones when they get home. Not, you know, 1 in 100, but still.
Stu, just out of curiosity, are you guys planning on putting those cans in any other space besides just your restaurant?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, Bill. That was another pivot. So one of our guys who works for us and has since day one, we have a whole handful of folks who have been with us since we opened. That was another pivot. We hired him as a salesman for off-premise stuff. So he's out there selling the cans and our draft beer to places like Whole Foods, and we just got made a sale at DeBruno Brothers.
Wow.
So
Nice.
yeah, so that's part of it, is to do some off-premise sales. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And are you continuing to or going to use the space across the street in the summer, because that could be really cool?
Yes. So that beer garden is going to come back. We talk. So the guys. I don't know if you know Dominic. He's been trying to get us to do something in that space for 3 years, and he hung some lights one day, and I walked over because this was a time when I was scared for our survival. One of the times, and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "Why? You want to come over here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to build a beer garden here." So we commissioned, like, if anybody went there, we commissioned like to have 5 of those picnic benches made. So he's always wanted to do something there that's like a little bit more aggressive. But I spoke to him a week ago. You guys are the first ones who are hearing this, I guess. He wants to do something, nothing enclosed, but just make it a little bit nicer, and possibly we're definitely going to go back in there. Here's the stuff we're kind of kicking around. Maybe putting a wood-fired outdoor pizza oven over there.
Wow.
This is the most ridiculous thing I'm about to say, but could you keep that amongst us? amongst us 20? Because this is
Yes.
1 day old, the discussion. But we weren't really happy. We threw that thing together, and we weren't really happy with the food, and we were transitioning chefs at the time. So it got better as it got later in the season. But no, I think the beer garden is going to look a little different, to a point where we may even use what's called a storage license for breweries, which is we're allowed to open another location without getting any additional licensing. Actually 2 more. But we're just always busy with Hygge. But if we could do this across the street and make it seasonal, yeah. So good question, Vivek. Yeah, we might do something there.
Yeah, he actually presented in front of the community to make an I think
Twice.
he really wanted a restaurant there, but then he was suggesting that he is going to put like some sort of a community space / so I think your utilization is absolutely wonderful. That it's, from my perspective, it's beautiful that the community is going to end up utilizing it, and you guys will benefit.
It looks really cool when it's full and people are all there, hanging out. And so if we made that a storage location, we could serve wine and local spirits. So we could expand the menu, because a lot of times folks didn't go over there because they wanted a glass of wine. So we'd be able to do that. I don't know. It's literally something that was just born in my head. Another thing we're going to do is to kind of announce our chef and the wine store. We're going to, in the next probably 30 days, we're gonna have on a night that we're closed, like a Tuesday night, we're gonna have a wine dinner that's just in the huts. So if you get 4 people, you reserve a hut, and we'll do a flight of 4 or 5 wines, and the chefs will cook some really nice food. It'll probably be higher end, a little more expensive, but it's just something to keep those guys excited. We only sell 20 tickets to it, but it's that kind of stuff is, if you ever came to our stuff in the lounge, that's fun for us. Jen wants to know if I need anyone to taste test. Yeah, I got that covered.
We need any other volunteers. I
Yeah,
think
no,
Griffin,
no,
I would be happy.
you're a giver. You're a giver.
Stuart, I have a question for you. For the huts, do you need to reserve them in advance, or are they just first come, first serve?
Yeah, so that was another pivot we did during this thing, which was it's a great question. So you go online on resy.com, RESY, and then you can actually reserve a hut. But they've been pretty booked. Tell you the truth, they're colder than I expected, but there's a heater in there, and they're indoor rated. And I've been battling my partners because I want to put plastic flaps across, and they don't want to do it. But the answer is resy.com. You can reserve huts 1 through 5, and you can see it on Resy. And we've had a lot of folks say they thought they reserved a hut and they didn't. We've checked it. The system works, so that they just get there and they see a hut and they're like, I reserved that. No, you didn't. That's a good question, though.
All right.
Hygge
Awesome.
huts.
Hygge huts. I love it. I love the ingenuity and everything you guys have been doing. The
Thanks.
community definitely appreciates it. And, we really want you to stick around for a long time. So we appreciate your drive, and your perseverance means a lot to us.
It means a lot to me what you guys have given us.
Awesome. So I know that you were being very generous, and wanted to raffle off a couple gift cards. So Jen, you have some sort of technology thing that you're going to do? What is your plan?
Stu, can you run through the items that you're generously raffling, and then I have everyone who is not an officer on my list here. If anyone doesn't want to participate in the raffle, just let me know and I'll take your name off of it. Otherwise, I'm going to randomly draw a couple names.
Is it like one
Okay.
of those like name selectors or like number picker things? All right, cool.
In different times, they'd probably be $50 gift cards, but we're raffling off 2 $25 gift cards and 2 4-packs of beer, and you can mix and match when you get there. So if you're the winner of it and you say, hey, I won, when you come, you can just let us know when you're coming and say, hey, I won this thing.
Chris
and we
is
can-
now visible, guys. The video is on. He's like, 4-pack away. Here I am.
Do we have like a drum roll?
All right, here we go. Hold on 1 second. So is there anybody who doesn't want to participate in this?
Oh, you're going to put it on the screen. I like it.
There's no cheating. All right, so here I'm going to raffle off one of the 4-packs of beer.
It's so cool. Who did it do?
Andy,
Andy.
winner of one of the first 4-packs of beer.
Well, that's so exciting.
Awesome, congratulations.
All right, now I got you.
Here's another 4-pack of beer. Here we go.
This is so cool.
This is really cool.
Jameer?
Our other business owner. Let's see.
Hey, am I losing you guys?
No.
No, we can hear you.
Yeah.
I'm having bad internet connections. Jameer, you're also a winner of a 4-pack of beer. Congratulations.
I have his email. I can follow up with him.
All right, here's one of the $25 gift cards from Hygge. Jason.
Oh.
Congrats, Jason. All right, our last.
Speech.
You can't handle another one after me.
Amanda.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Amanda.
I thought you were gonna take me off.
I didn't mean to put you on there. Sorry.
That's okay, do
Redo,
it again.
redo, audit.
That is cool.
It is so cool.
Idra,
Yay.
congratulations.
Where's she at? Awesome. That's great. Stu, thank you so much for your generosity. We really appreciate it. We'll follow up with our two winners that we can't see and make sure that they know that they won. Obviously, the meeting's being recorded, so that's good.
And on behalf of the partners at Hygge, thank you guys. It's been a wild ride, but without you, we wouldn't be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really-
And happy almost 5-year anniversary. We can't wait to celebrate another
February
5.
3rd.
Oh,
Yeah, that's awesome. What a milestone. That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks.
Now what do we?
All right. Well, that was really fun, really informative to hear from some of our awesome businesses on Fairmount Avenue. So I'm going to jump into the next section around elections. So just a quick overview, and Stu and Bill, if you need to jump off, feel free to do so. But onto a slightly more serious topic here, instead of beer and PT. I kind of just want to go over a little bit more background and history about UFCA and some of the elections and what it takes to really run this organization. It takes 5 elected officers to run UFCA on paper, but it really takes an entire community to fulfill the mission and be committed to improving the quality of life for all of our residents and businesses. These 5 officers, we can't do it alone. We don't want to do it alone. And we're just eternally grateful that all of you guys continue to show up to our monthly community meetings, share your expertise on the various committees, volunteer your time to help clean up the neighborhood, plant a tree, or even donate financially to keep the organization running really smoothly, amongst many other things. UFC is only 2.5 years old. In case you weren't aware, this started in the summer of 2018 when 4 neighborhood residents saw a need to fulfill this civic duty in our neighborhood. We have accomplished so much in this short period of time. The 4 dedicated people who launched UFCA in 2018 include Vivek and Darlene, who are present today, and then Jason Tucker and Susan Mills, who are no longer residents of the neighborhood. And
I also think we should give a shout out to Miguel. He's on the phone. He's on the call.
I meant founding members. I think you guys always had a goal to get UFCA off the ground and wanted other neighbors to step in and keep the momentum going. Eventually the current officers here are no longer going to be eligible or able to run for positions. And this was created intentionally in our bylaws. We want to ensure that this organization is around for a long, long time after we're no longer residents or, able to serve the community. And we want to make sure that there's different voices at the table, including long-time residents, new residents, owners, renters, young residents, young at heart residents, business owners, so please consider how you can participate, how you can continue to spread the word about UFCA, even run for an officer position down the line. I know I might sound a little desperate right now, but we really do need everyone's help to keep this organization going and thriving for the future. So that being said, we have an election at this community meeting, as we talked about over the last couple months, as per our UFCA bylaws. The president and treasurer positions are elected in odd years at the January community meetings, and then they will serve a 2-year term starting on February 1st, 2021. Just to give a quick outline of how this works, the election of each officer position will occur by secret ballot, and the person with the majority of votes will be announced at the meeting. And then also, since Darlene resigned as president last month, I've been serving as interim president, and then we're going to have a special election in March for a vice president. So if anyone's interested in running for the vice president position, you can submit your 150-word bio to info@unitedfrancisville.com. If you have any questions about what being an officer entails, you can feel free to reach out to me, Chris, Amanda, Vivek, Darlene, anyone, and we'd be happy to talk to you about it. I would say it's not a huge time commitment, and we think it makes a really big impact on the community where we all live and work. And so again, I just really appreciate everyone's time. And if anyone has any questions, let us know. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Amanda to talk a little bit more in detail about the election.
I wanted to do that piece first. So I put a link in the chat, and because we have to follow city guidelines, we're doing online voting instead of in-person voting. So we're going to be voting on the UFCA officer positions of president and treasurer, and it's going to be open from right now until 8:30, and you can only vote once. And we may be reaching out to you after you vote to just confirm, because we have a whole list to make sure that people are residents of the neighborhood. So if you do vote, and you're not on our list already and you haven't proven your residency, we may be reaching out to you just to kind of give proof that you are a resident of Francisville so that your vote could count. And I should have read this first. And then I think that's it. So the people running are one person running for president is Jen, and our one person running for treasurer is Chris. Again, this is why we want more voices in the community. It would be a lot more fun if there were people that could run against, and we can get more voices involved. But for now, I mean, those are your options. You can always do a write-in, but click on that link, and you can put your vote in up until 8:30 p.m.
Are the voting results going to you, Amanda?
Great question.
It goes the UFCA drive.
Okay, so it's going to the Google Drive.
I know, I want some competition here, guys.
Still.
I think he is unemployed. This is another plug for vice president will be coming up in March. So let everybody know that if you're interested in running for a position, get those words in. I see a few people on this call right now that would make excellent vice presidents. So get those little bios in so that we can let the community know, tell the community about you guys, and have a more exciting.
It's a tough race. It's like a Georgia runoff here about to happen.
Do you guys want to make speeches?
I think Chris has a speech prepared.
No, I don't.
Well, as always, guys, we appreciate everything everyone does for the community. And, you know, it's just awesome to see over the 2.5 years, UFCA really blossom and take shape, and a lot of new faces joining our meeting in this virtual environment. I personally can't wait to get back to an in-person meeting at the rec center where we could do, you know, our potluck holiday meal together. I know Darlene really misses it. Officer Jesse O'Shea really misses it. And it's just like a fun time just to see each other in person and give each other a hug. So I appreciate everyone who comes to our meetings and donates their time and expertise.
And you all live in houses on streets, so even though we have to socially distance, you might run into neighbors at some point. So tell them about the meetings, send them the links. It'd be great to get more voices and more people involved.
You guys usually post them at Hygge, and you can still feel free to do that. We can put them inside the huts, stuff like that.
Thanks, Joe. All righty. Does anybody have any other questions about the election or running for vice president election coming up in March? Now we'll move on to the committee updates.
If someone is a business owner but doesn't live in the neighborhood, are they eligible?
Darlene, I'm gonna have to look at the bylaws again. We edited them last summer, and I'm not quite as familiar.
I'm pretty sure.
I think they are.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah.
And then the secondary question would be if someone, like, I guess the question is, if someone owns a property, but they don't live in the neighborhood, are they eligible? Would be another question.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they are.
I think it's
They are, as long as they're not. As long as they're not the developer of the property themselves,
Okay.
or a family member of the developer that's proposing or coming for a variance.
Right. I think that was for voting, like
think-
for voting, but I don't know if we really.
No, for running for president and vice, yeah, they are.
Okay.
All of the things that I said is for voting only. Stewart for VP.
So there that was going. Phoebe's gonna have to go in my place.
Deidre, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I did have a question about either property owner or business owner. If someone has multiple of either, it counts as one vote, I'm assuming, or it's not one per property or per unit?
One.
Correct. Yep. All right, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to vote on our important elections. We'll be voting on VP coming in March. And then next year, the vice president and secretary positions will be up for election. So you have plenty of time to think about it. Moving on, we'll move over to our committee updates. I don't know if Officer O'Shea is on the line here today, but we can kick off with the Community Resources Committee.
Yeah, I was literally just texting with him. It sounds like Steve, Officer Kiefers, is trying to join the call. So.
Okay. Do you want to, maybe we'll skip ahead to marketing events and do community resources last?
That would be great.
All right. It's all you, Chase.
Okay, hello everyone. So we do have, actually I have quite a few things to talk about today. So first up, Eastern State Penitentiary is getting ready for their next big event, which is coming this MLK Day. Monday, January the 18th. They're live streaming an event on Facebook and Zoom from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The program will consist of 6 30-minute sessions reading from Dr. King's letter from Birmingham jail. Between each of these sessions, they'll have special guests, provide reflection with music and poetry. And anyone who's interested in that, I will drop the link in the chat for that. I have a few links, so I'll drop them all at once. Next thing is Books and Homes. If some of you were on the call early, I was kind of talking about with Darlene a little bit. So got in contact with JJ about the rec center. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, they are not staffing our rec center. They have diverted those people to other areas where they need them. So we're gonna try to reconvene back in April, either when things get better with COVID, or when we can have nicer weather to have an outdoor event. So we're on hold for that, but we're working with both JJ and Tyler with Books and Homes to make sure that goes through. Next up is the website. We are currently in the process of redesigning the website, as we've said a couple of times. Still in the planning phases, but we have actually made quite a lot of progress in the past 2 weeks moving forward with that. So stay tuned for that. Let's see, odds and ends. Some of you might know on Instagram, the Ya Fave Trash Man. Does anyone know that guy? Have you ever seen him? So he is actually partnering with our state rep, Malcolm Kenyatta, and they are hosting a neighborhood cleanup from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., also on MLK Day. They are meeting on the corner of 17th and Jefferson. So I know that's like a little north of our neighborhood, but they are doing a big neighborhood cleanup there, advertising, you say wear a mask, bring a friend, and I believe I have a flyer for that as well. Then let's see, last thing I have is shout out to Gabby for highlighting me to this. Liberty Grounds in the base of the Civic is finally opening tomorrow, actually January 14th. So you can check out their website and Instagram, which I'll also drop links for those. And they are serving food, beer, and cocktails all to go. So, hit them up January 14th for some beer and cocktails. hit up our Hygge on Friday for your wine list, and I think you're probably set for the weekend. So there you go. And don't forget to follow us on social media at United Francisville, UFCA Philly, sorry. And I think that's all of it. I'll drop the links.
I can go now from the fundraising and sponsorship committee standpoint, if nobody has any questions. This will just be real quick. I know I mentioned last meeting we had last month that we would be doing a kind of a donation drive, and there was a matching mechanism in place. So we finally got our ducks in a row, and I put together the financial statements for the year and a budget for 2021. So we know where we sit and what we need to do this year. We're hoping to take everything to the next level, get a good budget in place. So we're going to do a drive over the next month and check your emails over the next day or two, where we kind of, outline the value of the organization and give links to our PayPal account and things like that. So take a look at that, and anything that you guys can help us with to meet that budget over the next year would be appreciated. And just know that for every dollar that you're donating, it's being matched by Griff, a member of the community. So he wanted to help out and kind of leverage and multiply everybody's efforts. So just know that's going on. So that's all on my end. Just keep an eye out on your emails. And there's a lot of information in there. And if you have any questions or follow-ups or anything that you want to know about this end of the organization, feel free to reach out to me. Appreciate it.
And I'm Amanda, the chair of the Outreach and Inclusion Committee. Our members are Ashley and Gabby, and we really need more people involved. So this is a huge call out for more members. We have some really great ideas of things we want to do. We just need more manpower to kind of organize and follow through with them. The main two things that we've been working on, it's been really kind of hard with COVID to do outreach when you can't really be near people. So our main two initiatives is we've been calling a lot of the local churches just to kind of get more people involved so that we can share their events that they're doing, and they could advertise our community organization to members so that we can get more people involved in our meetings and hear more voices in the community. So we've been doing that, just outreaching to churches in the community. And the other piece that we really wanted to focus on was this vice presidential election for the organization, to kind of pull in more community voices, try to see how we can get more people involved in UFCA in general, and figure out how we could get more people involved in our committee, just so that we can kind of follow through with some of the things that we want to work on. One of our ideas for the future, when we have more people involved, is an advocacy effort, because we've heard a lot of feedback from the community about how there's kind of like distrust in the workforce housing, and distrust in the procedures in making sure that the community stays affordable and that our longtime residents can stay in the community, and to make sure there's housing opportunities for everybody at all income levels. So we've heard that, and we want to help out with that, and we want to advocate for that, and we just need a lot more manpower to kind of help follow through with some of these ideas. So if you're interested in that, or you know neighbors that are interested in that, definitely reach out to me, Secretary at United Francisville, and I'll get you on. Our meetings are every fourth Wednesday at 7:30. So you can definitely join, email me, I'll send you the link. It would be great to kind of like follow through with some of these ideas, stop talking about the ideas and start actually doing something about them. But we need people for that.
Thanks, Amanda. Vivek, do you have an update from zoning?
No, we have been pretty quiet, so there's no update for this month or last month. Thanks.
Vivek, quick question.
Actually, the only thing that I wanted to announce even last time was we have about 2 seats open, and we are looking for volunteers, just like every other team and committee here. So please, anybody that wants to volunteer on zoning, reach out. We need you guys.
And you can be on more than one committee. There is no limit to the amount of committees you can be on.
Vivek, since you have openings, because I think zoning is the only committee that really has a finite number of seats available, could you give a brief overview of what, you know, the being a zoning committee member really entails and like a time commitment for that? Or maybe Jason, you could speak to that as well, since you were, or Megan.
Most of the volunteer work in the zoning committee is actually coming and presenting their ideas when projects are being presented in front of the community. So you don't have any per se homework that you have to do or have large time commitments. Although I do foresee future time commitments coming up depending on how much work gets distributed, or if we decide to. There were talks about making sheets or documentation indicating what projects were being done by what developer and what was promised versus what was delivered, so we can keep some of these developers accountable. However, from a time commitment perspective, we have one zoning committee that meets prior to the project being presented in front of the community, and that happens on the third Wednesday of each month. And you know, it's pretty fun job. You come and you try to and give the best input that you have to the developer to make sure that his projects align within the overall beautification of the neighborhood. And then ultimately the project gets presented by the developer and his attorney at the community meeting, and the community takes a vote. So it's a lot of fun. You guys should come join it.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Having been on the zoning committee, I can definitely say it's very interesting. You learn a lot, and you'll soon know what by right means sooner than later. So I was the previous chair of the City Resources Committee, and I'm giving the reins over to Josh. So Josh, if you want to talk a little bit about what we do and when we meet.
Yeah, sure. So we've set up a recurring meeting for the first Monday. Is that right? First Monday, or no, I'm sorry.
No.
It is right. First Monday of the month. And I have a couple things to report from the resource committee that'll give you a feel of some of the things we're working on. So during one of the updates, you probably saw me jump on my phone. Officer Kiefer called and said he apologizes for not being able to make it tonight. He got some big project from as he called it, the big bosses a few just before the call started. He anticipates he would send over some year-end stats for our neighborhood, probably by tomorrow morning, that we could share with our group. So we'll look forward to that. We've been asked to forward along some information from the Philadelphia Department of Health's COVID containment unit. They've developed a community survey to elicit feedback on COVID-19 services and the supporting groups there. They have this survey open until tomorrow at noon. So I know it's short notice, but if you'd like to participate, get that in tonight or tomorrow. I did the survey. It only takes a couple minutes to complete. So I'm going to post that now in the chat here. And I missed the Y on that. So they are also hosting an upcoming COVID-19 information session where topics include the vaccine, expanding access to testing, and explaining how to use some of the resources on their website. There are two options to attend. Tuesday, January 26th from 6 to 7, or Thursday, January 28th from 11 to noon. To register, I'll put this in the chat here. Actually, I'll just post this whole paragraph in here so you have the whole thing here. I'll get the link here for you. Okay. Lastly, the Commerce Department. Commerce Department Office of Workforce is launching an Achievers Initiative, which is a 5-month educational process that's financially incentivizes the support of Philadelphia residents with preparing for and taking the HiSET exam. So this is the high school equivalency credential. If you or someone you know could benefit from this program, you can follow the link I'll post here in a second, and or just simply jump over to one of our social media platforms where you'll also find that link. The application, if someone is interested, has to be received by January 29th. And Chase gave the books and home update, so we're good to go there. So those are my updates for this this week.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Jen, back to you if we don't have anything else.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. So I know since our usual folks from the police department couldn't make it tonight for, the safety and police updates, if anybody has any questions that, they'd like us to check in with officers about, you can shoot any of the officers or Josh an email. And we'll make sure that Officer Shea or Officer Kiefer gets that and can respond to that before the next meeting. So we have a little bit of time left in our meeting. I wanted to open it up if anyone had any topics on their mind or wanted to chat about anything before we wrap up the meeting for the night. It's a quiet group tonight. All right, well, it's nice to see a lot of new faces, lots of returning faces as well. Thank you all for attending. I just want to remind everyone that we always meet on the second Wednesday of every month. So our next meeting will be Wednesday, February 10th, same link. If you signed up for the Zoom registration, you should be able to get this on your calendar. So you can just add it and it'll just always pop up for the next year. I wanted to share that our community spotlight will be with Curry Shack. It's that new Indian spot that's opening up at the corner of 19th and Poplar, where the Greyhound Cafe used to be and Gin and Pop was before that. They're a fast casual concept that I think is based down in the Pensport area, and they're opening up a couple other locations, one I think around 21st and Chestnut, and one in our neighborhood. So I'm super excited. They did share with me that they are trying to soft open this week with a grand opening in the future. And I know that Ashley, who's been running our UFCA social media accounts, will be all over it when they actually do open and welcome the community in. Don't miss the meeting next month. I think they're going to be offering some incentives for UFCA community members to attend the meeting. All right, everyone, if no one else has anything else to add, Jason, did you have something? Yeah. All right, well, nice to see everyone. Happy New Year. Please take care of yourself and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thanks for hosting.
Bye, guys.
See ya.